Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live. So today I'm sharing um, 5 things you need to do to gain more confidence in asking for money. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm actually running a free challenge. So that free challenge is going to help you gain that confidence. And actually, what I'm going to share as the 5 points are the topics of my 5 days. So every day this week, I'm going to be talking live in my Facebook group. I'm going to be sharing information. And I'm going to be sharing exercises and real things you can implement, and it's all for free. So make sure you join my challenge because it's starting tomorrow, y'all. But today I'm going to cover the 5 things that I'm going to be talking about. So you just have a sense of like, okay, if I need to focus on raising money and I've been struggling with how to raise money, what do I do? All right. So if you've never watched me before, first of all, say hey. Second of all, let me know in the chat who you are, where you're from, what your nonprofit does. Share what your nonprofit does with other people because that's how we grow, by community, by helping each other, by providing value to each other. So make sure you introduce yourselves to people. All right. Let them know who you are, where you're from. All right. So I'm going to talk about 5 things that can help you feel more confident. And I'm going to ask you guys also, after you drop in the chat who you are, what your nonprofit does, and all of that, I would love to hear from you guys to understand like what's stopping you from asking for money. Is it fear? Is it that you just don't know how to? Is it that you're afraid that people aren't going to respond to you? Like, what is it about asking for money that stops you from doing it? And so I'm going to be talking about that, especially on day one in my free challenge. But I find with a lot of people, it's because they're afraid or they feel like they're waiting for something. It's like they're waiting for somebody to validate whether or not they can ask for money or they should ask for money. They put all these barriers up for themselves, like, oh, well, I can't ask for money because I don't have this, or I can't ask for money because I haven't done this yet. And that's been my experience. That a lot of people just they just put up their own barriers and really are missing out because they're not putting themselves out there. Honestly, the earlier you put yourself out there, the better. And you may be surprised to hear me say that because you may be like, if I'm super new and haven't done anything, what am I asking for? How can I ask? But I'm telling you right now, you need to start asking ASAP. All right. As long as you have the proper paperwork in place, meaning I'm not even talking about 501c3 status. I'm talking about your solicitation, your charitable solicitation in your state, you can ask. So Sierra from Ohio, she helps women and children at domestic violence. Hey, Sierra, thank you so much for joining. So if you could share, just so I have a good sense from you guys, like what's your struggles around fundraising, that would be awesome. So I can speak to that in the challenge as well. But I'm going to talk about the first thing of the 5 things to help you gain confidence, the things you need to tackle, the things you need to talk about when it comes, or you got to come to grips with when you're asking for money. So I want y'all to drop number 1 in the chat for me, just to let me know that you're still here. Let's drop number 1. I see a question on YouTube. I will get to that question, but I want to cover number 1, which is mindset. And mindset can mean a lot of different things for people. But for me, when I say mindset, it's what you believe you can do or what you believe you can't do, or the lies or the myths that we believe that a lot of people tell about raising money, or a lot of the limiting beliefs that stop people from going hard for their nonprofit. And I'm going to tell you one thing, when it comes to being a startup, you have to go hard. Like, you can't be passive about this because you can't forget you're a startup. So you got to be scrappy. You got to be unapologetic about what you're doing, right? So when it comes to being a new nonprofit, you can't be shy about your nonprofit, about what you do, about the things that are needed for the community that you're serving. So you just have to remember that, right? You can't be afraid. So your mindset has to be in the right place to be able to believe that that's where you should be. Like, you got to believe that this is your moment. You got to believe that you are the person, right? Your organization is the moment, and people should be supporting this moment, this movement, this community, whatever you're building, as a part of your nonprofit. All right. So I see a question on YouTube. I know you've said you've helped a new nonprofit raise 100K. Yes, I did. Would that be possible for a new international nonprofit with no donor base? So it's possible for anyone, but it matters your network. Like it matters the power of your message and the people who will carry the message. The reason why that organization was able to raise that money is because there was a network of people who cared about the mission. And the ask was very focused on what those people would care about. And so they carried that mission on and asked for that money and showed up for that organization, even when that organization had not provided one service yet. So it really depends on who you have pushing that message and your aggressiveness of putting yourself out there, of learning new people or meeting new people and all that kind of stuff. Kick in with Dr. Britton says, I'm concerned that I need to get 501c3 and 50 and charitable solicitation before I ask for donation. So as long as you have charitable solicitation, you can ask for money. Now, the requirements for charitable solicitation are different from state to state. There are some states that require 501c3 status, and there are some that don't. And then there are some that don't require registration for charitable solicitation. So you got to know your state and you got to know the rules. So I can't tell you like offhand what the rules are for you. That's why you got to do your research. But it is called charitable solicitation or charitable registration. And usually it's with the Attorney General's office. So that's how you find it. It's not always though. Like, hey, Shirley, it's weird in some states. Like with Florida, I think it's Department of Agriculture. It gets weird. But people in the state know what it is, know what charitable solicitation is. 501c3 status has to do with how you report your income, and it has to do with how people report their donations to you. And so it doesn't stop you from asking though. Like the real rule is around, like the thing you need to be very mindful of is charitable solicitation in your state. But people may be concerned that you don't have 501c3 status. They may or may not. Some people it matters, some people it doesn't. So you just need to be upfront if you don't have it, so people are aware. And just know if you're meeting the timelines for applying for 501c3 status, that status, once you get it, can go retroactive. It'll be retroactive to the date you incorporate it. Okay. Hey, Jamaya, good to see you. All right. So that's number one is mindset. That's the first thing I'm going to cover in the challenge is mindset and how you got to let go of your limiting beliefs, or how you got to let go of what you don't think is possible. It is possible. Well, let me tell you this though. Mindset is one thing, but action and strategy have to go with it. So you have to believe you can do this stuff, but you actually got to put the work in as well. So I'm not saying, oh, all you got to do is believe and it'll happen. It'll be a miracle. No, it takes work. So that organization where I helped raise that 100K, I busted my tail to make that happen. And so did the people, right? So I wasn't doing the direct asks. It was a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. And it was other people who were carrying the message. They were asking their networks, but I designed the messaging and the graphics and the campaign, and they used that to raise the money. And it was a lot of work. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'm not saying this is easy, but I'm saying it's possible. So that I just want that to be clear. Okay. All right. So the first thing is mindset. Let's do number 2 in the chat. And if y'all are just joining me, I'm talking about 5 things that can help you gain more confidence in asking for donations. And I'm going to be actually covering all these topics in depth this week for my free challenge. And so in my private Facebook group, if you look it up in Facebook, Money on a Mission, I'm going to be teaching every night. The videos are going to stay up. I'm teaching every night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're going to stay up until Saturday. So if you can't make it live, they'll still be up, but then they're going away, right? And if you want the recordings, I have a VIP pass where you can get them for a little bit longer, just giving y'all a heads up. But number 2 is for you to be the expert. I'm going to say it again. Be the expert. I love talking about this topic because it kind of turns what people think about themselves on its head. So a lot of you are sitting here thinking, it's just me. Like you have a passion, you have a mission that's driving you to do this. But a lot of you, when I talk to you, you have this attitude like, but it's just me. You know what I mean? Like, who am I? I've never done this before. I've never run a nonprofit. I know a little bit about nonprofits, but I don't know what I'm doing, right? So you get caught in this attitude where it's like, I'm super new, I just gotta ask people for things. I don't know what I'm doing. But I want to turn that on its head. And I want you to know that you are an expert and people need to hear from you. People want to hear from you. And once you establish yourself as a go-to for whatever topic that you're dealing with or whatever your mission is about, your job is to make people want to come to you. They seek you out. That's the place you want to be. Funders and donors seek you out because they know you are the person they need to talk to about a topic. So this matters in any kind of fundraising. So I'm not just talking about with individuals. I'm not just talking about with corporations and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about across the board. I'm talking about with grant writing, any kind of fundraising. You have to stand out, especially when you're new, especially when you're small, right? So you have to stand out. And there are strategic ways you can stand out by establishing your authority in your space. Because to be real, like, no one knows your experience. No one knows what you see. And the things that you see and the things that you experience are what drove you to this point, right? Like, you saw something, you experienced something that wasn't working or wasn't getting resolved. And you probably know why, and you probably have a better way of fixing it or a new way of fixing it that people don't know about and people need to hear and get excited about, right? And so that's what you need to zero in on when it comes to your expertise and your authority. Because when people hear you say things over and over again, you keep talking about things, you use your platforms, your free platforms. Like, I'm looking at 3 different platforms right now: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. These are free platforms. And when you begin to establish yourself, it doesn't even have to be, on social media. It could be through writing. It could be through tapping into media. I'm going to go into detail with this during the training, but you got to use your platforms to establish yourself as someone who knows something that you got to get out. There's a message, there's a perspective that you have that no one else has, and you got to get that out. Does that make sense, y'all? I hope it makes sense. All right. So that's number 2. When you're looking to get confidence, you don't know how to ask for money because you feel like, well, who am I? I'm just somebody who want to do something good. Who You need to be like, I am here. You need me. Because funders do. We make a mistake that, because I'm going to talk about this. I don't want to go into my script, y'all. I don't want to give it away too early, but I'm going to talk about this. We make the mistake that because people have power and people have money, that they somehow know better or they know more than us. And I'm telling you that they don't. I'm telling you that they claim they want the solutions. Let's be naive and say they want the solutions. They're looking for the solutions, right? And they think they have the solutions, but they clearly don't, because things are still not working. Things are still falling apart, right? They need you. They need the real solutions. And honestly, they need to give you the resources to do it instead of hoarding the resources and feeling like they got to fix the problem. I know it sounds like I'm talking in code, but I'm going to break it down way more in the challenge. But I just want to end that one saying you are an expert and you got to establish yourself as an expert in the authority in your field. All right. So let's do number 3. Drop it in the chat for me, y'all. Drop number 3 in the chat to let me know you are still here. You can hear me. You're with me. Okay. And I appreciate y'all who come to my lives every week. It does mean a lot because it can get tiring doing this all the time, but I appreciate y'all. So number 3, and I'm talking about how to gain confidence, how to feel like you can really do this when it comes to raising money, even if you're new, even if you're small. Number 3 is sharing stories. Okay. Storytelling is very powerful when it comes to fundraising because stories are what we use to connect to each other. Stories are what you can use to grab people's attention and to make you feel relatable. Okay. So I was just thinking about this. I have a pastor who just left my church. He's an awesome preacher. And he always used storytelling in his sermons. He called them parables because that's what Jesus did, right? Jesus used parables. He talked through stories. And it's through using stories that he gets you to remember. First of all, he gets you to be able to digest what he's saying easily, but it helps you remember I remember a lot of stories that he told. I remember those sermons because he used stories in a captivating way. So that's what you got to get used to, how to tap into stories. And it doesn't just have to be your personal story. It could be, because a lot of y'all started your nonprofits because something personal happened to you. But you don't always have to share your personal story. You can lift up other people's story. And it doesn't even have to be the stories of the people who are receiving your services. There are other types of stories that you can tell with your nonprofit. What does this have to do with confidence? Well, when you feel like you're sharing information that people need to hear, first of all, when you're using stories and you're using an easy way to communicate, it's easier than just saying, hey, can I have $20 for my nonprofit? Let's just be real. When you have a script that you can use that uses stories, it's easier for you. And it doesn't feel like you're selling. It doesn't feel like you're hitting people up like, give me this money. Because we never want to feel like that anyway. Donors are not ATMs. Donors are not people you just want to hit up to get money and then walk away. That's not how you approach fundraising at all, right? You do not want to approach fundraising like, I just need the money. Give me the money so I can go off and do my thing. Fundraising is about relationships and building community. So we together, we're joining our resources. People are giving their money, some people are giving their time, you're giving your expertise, and we're pulling all that together to solve a problem. So we can't do it without the people with the money, you can't do it without the people doing it. And we're all doing this as a collective. All right. So that's how you need to see fundraising. Does that make sense, y'all? So stories are what's going to pull people in. Stories are we're going to keep people engaged with your nonprofit. So if you're trying to figure out like how to keep people around or how to get them to pay attention to you, use stories. And I said this a couple of weeks ago in a live, and I couldn't remember the name of the guy, but I remember it now. So there's a guy on Instagram. He came into our clubhouse room a couple weeks ago. He does haircuts for people who are homeless, and he goes around the country and he just cuts their hair for free. But he tells the story behind the people, right? He doesn't just cut their hair and you don't just see the transformation. You hear about the story, the person behind the cut. And you understand that these people on the street are just people like us. Like a lot of us are like one step away from being like that, or one major event or one trauma away from being in that same situation. And when you're able to tap into the human side of people, it makes you look at it differently. So he's using his platform to tell their stories. His Instagram name is Empowering Cuts. Empowering Cuts. He's out of Philadelphia. And he's amazing at telling these people's stories. He tells his story sometimes and why he did this, but he's mostly telling everyone else's stories because people get so engaged when they see that kind of stuff. And then people, hey, Delisa, and then people begin to ask the question, what can I do? This is what naturally happens when people care about, or they're tapping into something and they're like captivated by it. Their next thought is, I want to help. What can I do? So you don't even have to feel like you're hitting people up, because if all you're doing on your social media is saying, hey, donate, 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 that's not going to work. That's probably why you feel like a failure. That's probably why your GoFundMe's are not working. That's probably why, you put out a post, hey, Mariah, and it's just falling flat. That's not how we want to approach this, right? We want to use stories. We want to be genuine. We want to be real. We want to be human, because we are doing a good thing in our communities and we want to communicate that to people instead of just saying, hey, give me money, give me money, give me money. All right, y'all with me? Let me know. I'm going to go to number 4. So y'all know what to do. Please drop a number 4, because I just love to see that y'all are still here with me. If you're joining me, just remember all of these topics that I'm talking about today, I'm going into more depth in my free challenge. It starts tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Each of these topics are the topic of the days. So day 1 is mindset. Day 2 is, be the expert. Day 3 is stories. And then I'm going to share what day 4 and day 5 are. Okay. I'm going into more depth. So there are 4 types of stories that you can tell, and I'm going to talk about that on day 3. So day 4, thank y'all for the 4s, is connections. All right. Day 4 is all about connections, and it's about tapping into your own network, understanding that you have a network of people and of organizations that you can tap into to start asking for money right now. So a lot of people have a conception about fundraising. They think that it's going to the big corporations, like it's going to Oprah. Who's our modern day Oprah? The girl from City Girl. Oh, let me stop. Who's our modern day Oprah? Like people think you go to LeBron James or you hit up Bill Gates or you hit up Zuckerberg because these people have money and they think that's how fundraising works. They write a letter, Carisha, that's her name. You write a letter and you write this letter to these big people who don't know you, who have no connection to you, and because they have money, you think they should give. Because in your head, which is partly true, you're doing something really good. So why wouldn't they give you money? It's almost offensive for them to not respond because I'm doing something really good. But the problem is they don't know you. They have no incentive to listen to you. And why would they listen to you or support somebody over somebody they know and somebody they probably have seen in real life and care more personally about? Fundraising can be very personal. It's about connection to connection. It's about person to person. So even when you're trying to connect with a corporation, like a business or a foundation, it's about the people who work there. It's about the people who serve on the boards. It's about the people who are the program officers or the marketing directors. It's about tapping into those people. And so the mistake a lot of people make is that they just think, oh, I'm going to send a letter and then my letter will be good. I'll just wait for the letter to come back and that's how I'm going to raise money. But you got to focus on making real connections with people. And what you may not realize is you have connections already that you could be tapping into. You know people, you have worked certain places. You know people like your board members who work certain places. You shop certain places. You bank at certain places. All of these are connections that are ripe for funding for your nonprofit. If you begin to build a relationship with the people there, it's fundraising is personal. It's about relationships. So on day 4, I'm going to help you figure out. I'm going to go through an exercise to help you identify who your connections are and who your organization's connections are. Because you start with who's closest to you and then you go out. Okay. So we're going to talk about that on day 4. So let's do day 5, y'all. Put a number 5 in the chat for me. So far I've gone through mindset, being the expert, telling captivating stories, connections. And the number 5, what I'm going to talk about on day 5, which is Friday, is a system that ties it all together. So there's something called the fundraising cycle. So for people who have been in my Money on a Mission private membership, I talk about the fundraising cycle. And it's sometimes called the donor journey, the donor funnel. And it's a system, it's a process that you should use to fundraise, right? It's a process, it's a general framework you should use. I reworked it a little bit. I'm super excited about it. I'm calling it something different for the challenge. That's why y'all need to be in the challenge, because I'm calling it something new, but I'm breaking it down so you can see like what you should be doing every month based on this system. So I'm going to give you strategies. Okay, monthly, this is what you need to be focusing on. Because a lot of the reason why you don't have confidence in asking for money is because you probably don't know where to start or what to do first or what you should be even focusing on. Should you be focusing on grants? Should you be focusing on this? Who should you be calling? Who should you be connecting to? When do you ask for money? How do you ask for money? So the point of having a system is that you don't ever have to wonder, you don't have to question what you're doing and why you're doing it. You just fit what the way you want to fundraise into this system so that it works. Okay. So this is any kind of fundraising. It doesn't matter. For me, fundraising means any way to bring in money for your organization. You need a system that every month you're saying, okay, we're focusing on this. You need to go back to your board and say, this is our focus for this month. These are all the activities that we're going to do to help us bring in money this month. So everybody is on the same page, and nobody can act like they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and they can be held accountable. How about that? Held accountable for raising money for an organization they said they want to join. All right. So that's the 5 days. And I'm going to stay on just to answer questions about the challenge in case people have questions. I'm just going to recap really quickly. Again, I'm going into depth for all of these topics. I'm going to do exercises to help it be more relatable. And for people who bought the VIP pass, the hour before I go live, I'll go on a private Zoom link, and I have like a homework. I have homework sheets I've created just for the VIP pass holders, and they can fill out their homework. That starts on Tuesday. So you'll get into a private Zoom with me. I'll help you process your homework. We'll do it together. And we'll do that the hour before I go live and start teaching. So are y'all signed up? Are y'all coming? Because I did all this work to put it together. And for y'all not to show up, for y'all not to come, my feelings would be hurt. No, my feelings wouldn't be hurt. But I think it's a really good opportunity for you to learn how to do more with your nonprofit and raising money. So Delisa said, how do I sign up? I'm dropping the link for you right now, Delisa, so you can sign up. And for those who have signed up, make sure you check your spam because some of your messages may have gone to spam. I've sent you an email. I've sent a couple of emails already about joining. You got to join the Facebook group in order to participate. And then you got to do your pre-challenge homework if you want to be entered into a drawing for a prize. So just make sure you check your email, y'all, and do your pre-challenge homework. Yay! People are coming. So I'm going to just recap how the challenge go. I'm going to stay on for some Q&A about the challenge. And then after this, if any of my VIPs, so my Boss and Purpose folks, if any of y'all are on tonight for the Boss membership, I'll stay on for a private QA on YouTube just to let y'all know. So the challenge is going to be 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night. It's in my private Facebook group. If you don't know the name of the private Facebook group, you'll get an email with the link, but you can also search Money on a Mission in Facebook. I'm going live in the group. So if you're in the group, then you'll see me. The event was already set up for tomorrow. You can join, you can pay attention. I'm going to go live every night. All of the videos are going to stay up. So if it's too late for you, or if you guys work at night, they'll stay up until Saturday at 11:59 p.m. And I will be going through different exercises. There will be prizes, and then a secret that I'm going to release on Thursday also that may be helpful, especially for the end of the year. All right. Any questions about the challenge? And also, are you guys participating? Are you going to be asking for money at the end of the year? Because this is the perfect time. End of the year is sometimes called the giving season. So the giving season starts on Giving Tuesday. And Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And it goes all the way till the end of the month. This is like for a lot of nonprofits, this is go time. This is when they start asking. This is when they go in. So if you haven't participated, if you haven't asked for money during this time of the year, I really, really encourage you to get ready for that. And even if it's not as successful as you want it to be, try it. Try it to see how it works. Try it to see what works, what doesn't, so you can learn from it and be ready for next year. Because if you keep saying, I'm not ready, you'll never be ready. Okay. And I get this question a lot. When do I start asking for money? I don't have my stuff together. Should I start asking for money? I am of the belief you should start asking for money right away. And people do need some oomph to feel confident asking, giving money to you. So you do need to have some kind of like website up, a Facebook page. So people, when they look for you, they know you exist, and they know you're real. But for a lot of people aren't on Facebook. So for a lot of people, that may not matter. So that's why I'm saying put yourself out there, ask, because you never know what people will say. And at least you know the feedback. If people are saying, no, I'm going to give to you once you have this, or I'm going to give to you once you have this, at least you know it. But you may be making a lot of assumptions about what people will or won't do that's keeping you from raising money. Okay? Y'all good? I don't see any questions, so I am probably going to sign off. I'm going to finish getting ready for the challenge. Y'all, I'm very, very excited for y'all to learn something new. If you don't do nothing else, at least walk away from the challenge learning something new, at least one thing that will help you with your nonprofit that you can start implementing. I promise you, you'll get at least one thing you can start implementing the very next day. All right. I'm about being helpful, being concrete, and I give a bunch of value. All right. Because I need y'all to win and I need your communities to win. So thank you guys so much for watching me. I'm going to actually keep this live up. I'm not going to take this live down in case y'all need to refer to it. And yeah, I hope y'all have an awesome night, and I will see you in the challenge tomorrow night. Bye, y'all.